We're back for a big week 4 because we are excited to welcome our first guest onto the podcast. Today, Steve Lee is joining us. He's one of our really good friends from University of Massachusetts Amherst, and we would regularly have conversations with Steve when we were at school at the dining hall. He was one of our friends who was also very dedicated, liked to pursue goals, and he is an expert on calisthenics and mindset. So he's going to give us a few key tips here today. And if we throw back to 2, 3, even 4 years ago, we'd be speaking with him at the Hampshire Dining Commons at University of Massachusetts. But now it's a little bit different. Our lives have progressed. So today we're excited to bring some updates. Welcome in, Steve.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're really excited. Steve first met Brennan and me almost simultaneously. He was actually in the same Res Econ class as Brennan. So they were studying some economics together, had a group project. But then Steve and I met first through a mutual friend, Garrett Kwan, who's also from Winchester. Great guy. Check out his music if you haven't heard it already. But we met up in the dining halls and we'd be talking there, meeting pretty much every Sunday, if not every day, and getting some workouts in at the gyms. So we'd like to welcome in Steve. And Steve, would you like to get started? Just a little bit of background on yourself, where you've been in life, and where you're going for the next few years, however far you can see into the future.
Sure. Thanks for the kind, flattering introduction. So my name is Steve Lee, and I graduated the same year as Davis from Umass, class of 2019. So we actually met relatively late during college. So that was during our second semester of junior year, through one of my closest friends, Garrett, and from there it just clicked very well. We start to see each other like the same time, like almost every day in the dining comments, and start sitting together. And then we just start, chatting more and more and just become very close friends. And so in my case, I graduated with a degree in kinesiology, right? In other words, it's exercise science. So in terms of why I chose that major, exercising and fitness has been something that I've been very passionate about for over a decade. So I started, taking like some form of sports seriously when I was 13 years old. So I actually started with a form of martial arts called Wushu, spelled WUSHU. And if you have no idea what that is, look it up on YouTube. You get a much better description. And so I was very obsessed with that from 13 until 19. And while I was in college, I also did a little bit of breakdancing for about 2 years. And then from there, at some point when I was about 20 years old, I fell in love with calisthenics. Which is body weight strength training. So, I went from, wushu and breakdancing to calisthenics, and that's something that I still, really love to do today. For fitness, that's one of my biggest passions, and which, I'll be more than happy to talk about later. And on top of that, another passion of mine, it's on mindset training. That's what I do. As far as business, and then this is the kind of stuff I'm very passionate about studying every single day, and helping my clients with, and helping as many people with as possible. And part of the reason is because everything is 95% mindset and 5% mechanics. So it doesn't matter if we're talking about all 4 of the major pillars in life, right? Whether it's health, wealth, love, or happiness. Right? It's 95% mindset and 5% mechanics.
All right, so I guess Steve, what's going on? I met Steve really through Davis, the Hamp talks, but just going off of what company do you work for, and I guess where do you get that 95% number?
The company I work with, it's called Matrix Success Network. So under my mentor, his name is Brian Domaso. And as far as where the numbers came from, I didn't make up the numbers, right? Everything that we teach here, it's all based on science and theology, right? And they're really the same things, right? Just kind of different interpretations and explanations of the same truth. And when we talk about the truth, right, there's only one truth in this universe.
Mm-hmm. And how did you get to this company? Because I remember when you were graduating in 2019, you had the dream of becoming a personal trainer. So from the moment you graduated college, how did you get to this new job?
Okay, so quite a long story, and I can kind of like summarize it. And so back then, I would always tell a lot of my friends including these two guys back when I was, about to graduate from university, that, oh, I'm going to be a personal trainer. I'm going to be a personal trainer. I mean, it just kind of made sense. I mean, I was passionate about fitness, and, it just makes sense that, I wanted to do something that's, I'm very involved in it. And I once I graduated, so I kind of walked through the process. And I did have some, personal training experiences. I trained some clients online and also, in person in certain gyms, even before I graduated. But then I start to realize that it's not what I really want to do. I mean, as far as, general personal training, like working in a local gym. And the reason for that's because, so when it comes to fitness, what I'm very passionate about is, specifically on calisthenics, right? So, body weight strength training. So I'm, all about, getting stronger at, weighted calisthenics, more reps on different exercises, doing, harder variations of certain exercises. Like, that's what really excites me. And when it comes to personal training, it's just like, a lot of clients have the goals of, getting into, better shape and better health in general. Looking better, naked at the beach, or, losing body fat and stuff, which are great. Those are phenomenal goals, right? But that's just not an area that I'm very passionate about, right? I never really bothered like studying too much of that. So if you ask me stuff about, like bulking and cutting, I would just be very honest, I don't know much about that stuff, right? My studies, when it came to exercise science, are more focused on, strength training and understanding like exercise programming and things of that nature.
Okay, awesome. And then you got to this, how'd you find this mindset mentor?
Yeah, okay, so, one thing led to another. I always thought, like the idea of being able to, work from home, have like a home-based business. And I never expected to, be, on this particular path, to be honest, because at that time, I was already into personal development, but I was not super like passionate about mindset yet. And, part of the reason was because I haven't learned, okay, what I start learning. So, over time, I decided to, I actually heard about this opportunity from a friend of mine. Right. He started telling me about it. He started telling me about, some of the teachings. And there's a lot of stuff that I haven't heard of before. And keep in mind, like at that point, I've already been into personal development for about like 5 years. Started off by, watching a lot of motivational videos and stuff on YouTube, and, also following a lot of different influencers and, high level business people on Instagram. And there's like, value in a lot of them, right? As far as, helping me become more positive in general. But at the same time, I always feel like there's something missing, right? Because they just don't get deep enough into like the core, like the root cause of things, right? The science and understanding the universal laws, which is what we really need to get to, right? To create significant long-term changes. And so, when I heard about it, this story from my friend, it just made sense. And I felt like I just need to learn everything about it. I just want to learn all that I can. And as I start to like study this material every day, every single day, I start to fall more and more in love with it. And I decided that, okay, this is something that I really want to help people with and spread this material, because I know that it could really benefit their lives in many different ways.
Okay, I guess, could you go more in depth about what it is that you're teaching and how it benefits people's lives? Because many people have somebody might want to be good at sports, another person might want to be good at cooking. Like, there's so many different opportunities in this world. How do you find, like, how are you improving people's lives?
Okay, phenomenal. That's a great question. I'm more than happy to, break it down a little bit more for you. So, going back to the idea that, not everything is 95% mindset and 5% mechanics. So to keep it very simply, so there are really two major steps when we talk about, personal development, success, mindset, if you will. So the first one is goal setting. And the second one is something called paradigm shifts. And I'll get a little deeper into that as well. But when it comes to goal setting, this is very important, right? Being clear on what it is that we want. Because before we move towards, success, right? We need to know how that looks like. Like, what does success mean to you? Does it mean being the best chef in the city? Does it mean being a multi-millionaire or playing in the NBA, winning an Oscar? Right? There's no right or wrong. There's no better or worse. But the key here is to really figure out what it is that you want. What is it that you want for yourself? right? For your family, or like what kind of impact and contribution do you want to make in this world, right? That's something that you have to really sit down and, relax and get quiet and start to, figure out what your desires are. And the key, as far as what we teach our clients about goal setting is to set goals based on what they want instead of what they think they can get. Right? To set goals based on what you want instead of what you think you can get. And this is the mistake that a lot of people make when it comes to setting goals, right? They're thinking about what's realistic, right? And the idea of what's realistic and what's not. It's very subjective. Because what's realistic for you, okay, it's not realistic for Elon Musk, let's say. Right? And a lot of people do have like a lot of limiting beliefs about what's possible and what's not. And that kind of just limits them on just blocks their desires. Because deep down everybody knows what they want for themselves or what they want in life, but the reason why they can articulate it, right, or they're not owning it up, because they have these limiting beliefs about what they think they can do or cannot do. And it's not their fault, right? It's nobody's fault, right? This just comes from social conditioning, right, from their environment, because when they're growing up, school has been like implanting like different ideas like into their mind as far as what you're capable of, what you're not capable of, parents, TV, society. So so it's not their fault, right? It's nobody's fault. But the key is to really understanding that that whatever it is that you want, it's possible, and that's not just a cute statement, right? And that's not my opinion. Like there's a great quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson that I really like, which goes, "Desire is possibility seeking expression. Desire is possibility seeking expression." And what that means is that anything that you can conceive in your mind and desire in your heart, it's all the proof you need that it's possible for you to get there. Right? That's it. You don't need to know how. Actually, when you're setting a goal, you're not even supposed to know how you're going to get there. Because the purpose of a goal is not even to achieve the goal, but it's for you to really grow and to stretch as much as possible. So when you set a goal and it's something that you already know how to get there, then by definition, right, you're setting a goal that's too small and then limiting your own growth. Does that make sense? Any questions about goal setting so far?
That's awesome. I've been asking a lot of questions, but I have one more, and then I can let Davis ask some questions. So let's say I'm one of your clients, and I come to you with an unrealistic goal, such as I want to play in the NFL. How do you talk somebody through that when it comes with an unrealistic goal?
Can you say that again? The audio is a little bit off. I heard NFL, but the last part was.
Yeah, so if a client such as myself came to you and said, I want to play in the NFL, how would you help a client? Like that's not realistic.
Okay. Well, when you talk about realistic or not, so first of all, is that what you really want?
No, I'm just saying I don't want that for myself, but if somebody has, because a lot of times with sports, you see kids growing up saying they want to become an NBA player, and they just don't have the genetics associated with that. And then they spend all these hours throughout their childhood playing basketball for a dream that probably they'll never achieve just because they were born being 5'7" compared to 6'5". Because my thinking is that you have to find, everyone's good at something or can be proficient at something, and they need to find that area because it'll be easier for them to stick with those habits when they see these small little successes. How do you help somebody redirect when they're going down one path that is going to have a dead end compared to going some other way?
Well, first of all, okay, going back to the idea that the saying that desire is possibility seeking expression. Like you can't have a desire that you're not capable of manifesting, and this is based on both science and theology.
Okay.
Yeah. So if somebody comes and then they say that, right, they want to play in the NFL, then well, that just goes to show that it's possible. It's like guarantee that they're going to play in the NFL like in 5 or 10 years. Maybe not. That's up to them, right? How they decide to go about it, where they are willing to follow the process. That's needed for them to get there. But then, even, I mean, some people might be thinking, might still be thinking, oh, I mean, that person can't do it. Like, okay, I mean, even if they can't, right? Going back to how, the purpose, right? It's not even to achieve the goal, but to really grow and to stretch as much as possible, and really just to have fun, right? Because it's really just for growth. I mean, it's for the journey. Like the journey is all we have, really. Right? I mean, if that's something that's, because we talk about setting worthy goals, right? So whatever goals that you set, right, make sure it's worth it. Right? Is this something that you're willing to trade your life for? If yes, right? I mean, does it really matter, right? I mean, whether you make it or not. I mean, the journey itself, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a blast. That's worth it. I mean, even if you don't make it.
Oh yeah. I think that we're bringing up some great points. And Steve, I actually want to ask you about some of your goals, because I remember when we were at school, you would do some almost unbelievable numbers of calisthenics. So one great example were your handstand push-ups. I remember you would say, hey, I want to get this many handstand push-ups. Then you'd slowly increase it and increase it over time. And by the end, you had so many handstand push-ups being done. It was almost like maybe a person when they're first starting out, they'd say, hey, that isn't possible. Were you able to do it? Would you just be able to talk a little bit about some of the goals you set for yourself, whether it's calisthenics or something else, and just how you approach it?
Yeah, so I mean, I have different goals, I mean, for myself for different areas. So when it comes to, calisthenics, specifically handstand push-ups, one of my current goal for that is to do over 50 freestanding handstand push-ups.
Which is unbelievable. Anyone who doesn't know, if you can do one handstand push-ups, it's a major challenge.
Yeah, I mean, also, it's been a journey with that. So my current best, I haven't tested for a while, but the last time I tested like months ago was only 10, right? I mean, 10, and it doesn't feel like much, I mean, right now, but back when I first started, right? I mean, I remember myself, I mean, jumping up and down when I actually did my first one. And there's a long story about how I got there. It was quite a challenge because, I mean, in fact, when it comes to even just balancing a freestanding handstand, it took me a while. I mean, I actually gave up on that 7 times, right? Before I decided the 8th time that that's something that, before I decided I'm going to commit to making that happen. So, when I did my first handstand push-up, that was a big deal. And then, I just, and I told myself that, okay, if I can only do 3 or 5, and then I hit 3 or 5, and then, I never expected to get 10 like back then. But as I, start applying these, mindset trainings, right? I mean, into my calisthenics journey, right? I mean, that has shattered my own limiting beliefs, for sure.
That's unbelievable. And do you think it was more mental or physical? I know it's a big debate in sports and different exercises, but it sounds like your mental transformation and your mindset, your outlook probably benefited you more than any number of repetitions physically could have.
Oh, it certainly did. I mean, obviously it's more mental, right? Just going back to, 95% mindset and 5% mechanics. So as far as my story, right? I mean, I've been studying exercise science for, years. So, back when I was in, university, right? I mean, junior year, senior year, I was a huge geek when it came to that. I mean, I would, stay in my dorm for like hours. I mean, just like, studying like, different books and podcasts, like, taking notes and then like, implementing them into my program. It has been very helpful, right? I mean, helped me break a lot of plateaus and start making more gains consistently. So my mechanics, so I mean, was very good. Like my 5% was very good. So I had a lot of like knowledge when it came to exercise science, and I was taking action on a regular basis, right? Going to the gym like day in and day out, and sometimes too much action for that matter, which cost me plenty of injuries. but I learned from that, and it wasn't until a couple of years later, right? After college, that I started studying like the mindset. And then from there, right? I mean, like things have just started to like quantum leap, like has never been before.
That's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been able to talk a little bit about your mindset program, just a little bit more about the specifics of it, some events, and just different platforms you have for clients, just so if anyone's interested, they'll have a chance to reach out. And I know Brennan would also like some recommendations on some of the motivational speakers that you've listened to, because you shared in college. That was one of the major things that transformed you. And Brennan in particular reads a lot of books, listens. I'm trying to get on board. I'm doing a lot of studying of finance right now for a couple tests coming up. But I want to get involved as well. So you can talk about your program and then maybe some other people that have influenced you in the past. It would be phenomenal.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, I'll actually talk more about that, towards the end of it. But I mean, just like kind of a little bit more. I mean, because I did promise I was going to talk about the second point of the process. I mean, and that it's a very smooth transition to it. So the first thing that we need to do, right, it's goal setting. Right? I mean, figuring out what we want, and the next thing that we need to do, it's creating a paradigm shift. So, and this is ultimately what our trainings help our clients with, right? I mean, setting clear goals based on what they want, and then creating a paradigm shift. And when it comes to that, I mean, paradigm is defined as a set of mental programs stored in your subconscious mind that controls your perceptions, your behaviors, and your results. So it's a set of mental programs stored in your subconscious mind that controls your behaviors, your perceptions, and your results. So when we talk about paradigms, I mean, in terms of examples, almost everything are paradigms. So walking is a paradigm, speaking is a paradigm, smoking, right? Some people have a paradigm called smoking. So they literally have programs in their subconscious mind that causes your body to pick up a cigarette and light it up and stick it into their face, or stick it to their face and light it up. I don't know the process, but anyways, so I mean, they have the habit called smoking, and a habit it's a result of that program in their subconscious mind. And also being fit is a paradigm, right? So it's building wealth. I mean, being wealthy. I mean, you guys probably know some of that. I mean, since you guys were high level students in finance, for that matter. So in order, right, to create the kind of results that you want, you do have to change your paradigm. Right? And there's a process as far as how to do that. I mean, through constant spaced repetition, right, through coaching. And this is what we provide for our clients.
Okay. So you help people have paradigm shifts?
Yep. I mean, this is what our trainings are meant to do.
And is there, I mean, I bet you have to pay for it, but are there any actionable steps people can take that will help shift their paradigms?
Okay, sure. So I mean, just a quick tip here. So I mean, it's going back to the idea of constant spaced repetition, and just a little background on that, as far as just give people a bit more understanding of where they came from. So every single person have paradigms. So I have my paradigms right now. Davis has his paradigms, and Brennan, I mean, has his paradigms. And as far as where a lot of the paradigms came from, they came from our environment, right, from when we were growing up at a young age. So actually, let me do this. I mean, so Davis, let me ask you, what's your native language?
My native language is English, and I'm learning a little bit of Spanish now as well through school.
Okay, that's fine. So let me ask you, did you choose to speak English?
No, I was born into a culture where English was spoken, and my family speaks English.
Mm-hmm. So do you speak fluent French by any chance?
I do not speak any French at all, other than a few words.
Okay, so imagine this real quick. Like, imagine that instead of growing up in a family in a household that you grew up in, but instead, when you're, let's say, like 3 months old, you were taken to French, and you were raised by a family who only understands French and have no knowledge of the English language. Do you think you would grow up today to speak French instead of English?
It's tough to imagine. I mean, there would be so many changes. I've heard even the connections in your brain are developed based upon the language you speak, read, and write. So it would just be a total shift.
But okay, so I mean, so would you agree that you would speak French instead of English though?
Oh yeah. Yes, I'd speak French at that point.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So that's just one example of a paradigm.
Yeah.
I mean, and as far as how your paradigms, got into your subconscious mind is through the repetition of the ideas, throughout your environment as you were growing up. In school, your teachers, parents, TV, your neighbors. Right? I mean, and language is just one example. And so since we're talking about finance, right, and another example that we like to give people is, so again, like, let's say instead of growing up where you did, right, you grew up with Warren Buffett. Right, so now I don't know Warren personally yet, so I don't know if he's how he's like, but at least financially speaking, right, if from a young age you would immerse into global mergers and acquisitions and advanced stock trading, where do you think you would be today in terms of finance?
Yes, it would be completely different because you would have just a much better example to build off of, at least in that one area. Maybe in other areas he wouldn't be an expert, but in that area he'd be very well able to teach someone, and it would make a big impact on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you definitely have different results. I mean, when it comes to finance, or your beliefs, your perceptions when it comes to money, I mean, would be your behaviors around it will be completely different. So those right there, right, in those examples, I changed nothing else about you. I mean, the only thing I changed is your environment, and that just made all the difference. In terms of who you become, and what kind of results that you start to experience. Your circumstances and everything else. So, I mean, and the good news is that, anything that was programmed into our subconscious mind can be programmed out and be replaced by, something that's more desirable. So one of the basic tools that we teach our clients, okay, is to, use something called a goal card. So it's very simple. So take out an index card and, well, first of all, figure out what your goal is or what you really want. And, take the one that you desire most and then write it down on the card in present tense. So something along the lines of, this is a phrase that we like to use, that I am so happy and grateful now that, I am so happy and grateful now that, and follow that, write down your goal. And then carry that card with you, right? Read it in the morning upon waking up, read it before bedtime, and carry it in your wallet or your pocket. And then just read it as much as you can throughout the day. And when you read it, I mean, don't just, do it like very mechanically, but bring some feelings, bring some emotions into it. I get excited about it because your goal is excited. It's exciting. I mean, that's why you want that thing in the first place, right? Because it excites you. So I mean, read it. I mean, ask if you're already that person. Ask if you're already experiencing that reality. And with time and repetition, that idea is going to get into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind controls the vibration of your body. It controls your actions, and your vibration determines what you attract. So then, I mean, very naturally, you start to move towards it and you start to attract what it is that you want into your life. However the universe decides to, deliver it to you.
Oh, that's great. Because I just finished up reading the book called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've read that book yet.
Mm-hmm.
And what you brought up about your environment is a key point that he brings up throughout the book. If you want to get rid of bad habits or create good habits, you change your environment, because when you change your environment, it helps you create good habits, which you just brought up, which I think is very interesting. I truly believe in that, because even between my college environment and now, it's totally different. Like in college, I was going out 3 times a week, and that's because that's the environment I was in. And now that I'm at home, I don't do that because I'm in a different environment. So I totally see that if you want to see change your environment first.
Yeah.
It will make you more disciplined.
Yeah, for sure.
Cut out the distractions.
Absolutely.
All right, so I guess that's awesome. So I get people just change your environment.
Yeah, for sure. And then keep in mind when it comes to the environment is that your mind is your most powerful and influential environment. So so first thing, I mean, even obviously, if you're around people that you prefer not to be around, and in a place that you prefer not to be in, make some plans. I mean, take some actions to change that as soon as possible. But even before that, change your mindset, change your mind, because after all, I mean, it's whatever happens on the outside, that's a direct reflection of what's going on the inside. Right? And by changing your mindset first, it becomes much more likely that you start to attract the kind of environment and circumstances that you want.
Yeah, I know you touched on this earlier though, about how your mind shift changed your calisthenics, but what else in your life has changed due to your mindset shift?
Okay, just to name a couple of things. So first of all, like just general health. Back when I was in university, I would get sick pretty often, like once every couple of months, at least. And ever since I started studying this, I mean, I haven't gotten sick for the longest time, right? So it's been over like 1.5 years since I haven't gotten sick. So that has been phenomenal. And on top of that, I found, this purpose of mine, right? I mean, this opportunity that I have, to work with a great team, to spread this training, to spread this material to more and more people in the world, all over the world.
Wow.
Hey, that's important. And I've got to say, Steve, one of the biggest things that I admire about you is your true dedication, your strength. When you say that you're going to do something, you do it no matter what it takes. And the fact that you're going to spread that to other people, I think will make a really positive impact. And I just wanted to ask you where you get this discipline from, what really motivates you, and how does that translate into your daily habits? Just if you'd be able to talk about some of your routines, what motivated them to try to help other people have success, or just any good tips that you have.
Yeah, it's really from a place of passion. Not so much, discipline. Discipline's important for sure, right? Because there's, certain times when you need to, pull that bad boy out of your pocket and to give a little boost. But passion, like do things that you're passionate about, right? The reason why I'm doing this every day is because I'm passionate about it, and I'm passionate about helping people with it. The reason why I go to the gym, right? I work out regularly doing calisthenics. It's for no other reason than that I'm very passionate about it. I just have a lot of fun doing it, and there's nothing else I'd rather do. Just makes it a lot more simple.
That's awesome. It's just fun because you're just going out there doing exactly what you want to be doing, and there's just nothing better. So then I can see how you can dedicate tons of time to it and just stay after day, year after year, like you've done.
Sure.
I guess I could ask, because I've been reading a lot now since COVID. Are there any books that have completely changed your perspective on life?
Yes. So, two books I would recommend, when it comes to this. So if you want to understand, okay, the subconscious mind on a deeper level, because it really comes from understanding, right? Faith, comes from understanding, and understanding comes from studying. So, I'm very glad that you asked for book recommendations. So the book I recommend for that is called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. So The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Another book I recommend, it's called U Squared, right? U Squared, by Price Pritchett. And this one's about quantum leaps. Helps to shatter a lot of limiting beliefs about what's possible and what's not. So quantum leaps is the idea of making explosive jumps in your performance and your results. That's way beyond the next logical step. So, a lot of people, a lot of us have been, taught and conditioned to, do things more very linearly, just one step at a time. So let's say in terms of money, right? I'm just talking about money because very easy to measure, right? So it's like you're making 3K a month, right? A lot of people will teach you, okay, let's aim for 4K and 5K and then 6, 7, whatever. But Napoleon Hill said it very well that no more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity than it is to accept misery and poverty. And so some great, real life examples for that, it's, Mark Zuckerberg. So Mark Zuckerberg, started Facebook when he was 19 years old and became a billionaire at 23. So 19 years old, just a broke, typical college kid, became a billionaire at 23 in just 4 years. And there are people who have been in business for 40 years and never get close to that level. So that way there's a quantum leap. And Elon Musk, right, year 2020, just last year during COVID, increased his net worth by over $100 billion. So those are quantum leaps. And some people might hear this and be like, okay, well, yeah, that's Mark Zuckerberg, that's Elon Musk. They're one in a few. Well, that's not true. As you continue to study and understand this, you realize that every single person has infinite potential. So you have infinite potential. You actually have no more or less potential compared to Elon and Mark Zuckerberg than anybody. The question is, how much potential are you expressing? And that's what and this is where all things like everything like that I talked about earlier tied together. Right, the purpose of having that goal, having that big goal, right, relatively speaking, is to draw out as much potential from within you as possible. Right? And as you continue to use proper studies and tools to program your subconscious mind, you get closer and closer to that.
Awesome. And I see we only have a couple of minutes left.
Yeah.
You want to mention the event coming up for your company?
Yeah, sounds good, right? So if you guys have more questions about this and want some help as far as figuring out your goals and then and certain steps as far as attaining it, making the quantum leaps. Feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. I guess you guys can leave a link down below. I mean, just feel free to add me as a friend and then DM me and let me know that you found me through Davis and Brennan. More than happy to get on a free consultation call with you to help you out, to lay out some steps for you. And we do have a free event coming up, which actually starts tomorrow. So it's happening from next Monday to Friday, right? September 27th to October 1st at 11 a.m. EST, right? In which my personal mentor, Brian Domaso, who's a multimillionaire CEO of 4 companies, is actually going to be, teaching this stuff, right? Over the course of 5 days, for free. So, if you guys, enjoy listening to the stuff that I've been saying, and hopefully you did, you're actually going to, receive a lot more clarity and learn a lot more from, the man who taught me this stuff. So it's happening at 11 a.m. and, recordings will be sent out as well. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday, still you can feel free to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to, help you get access to it.
Awesome. That sounds amazing. This podcast fired me up.
Yeah, I'm fired up right now. It's bringing back memories, sitting in Hamp dining commons, having some laughs. Because I remember we'd always wrap our days up with a good get together for dinner, and it was just a blast. So the fact that you're able to speak with us again, shares a lot of things that we get to hear you say with a wider audience is absolutely unbelievable. And again, we want to say a big thank you, Steve, because you're a great friend, and just to see your evolution, transformation over the years, and how you get way, way better. Like you're saying, it's not from 1 handstand push up to 2, it's 1 to 50 pretty much, and it just flows all together with the positive momentum. So it's awesome, and we really do look up to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. That was awesome. That got me thinking. I really liked how it's not about achieving the goal, it's about the process and about just stretching yourself, which is what we're doing right here with these podcasts. So thank you for being our first guest, and we'll definitely be honored again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We got to keep doing more updates, see your process, and see how you're helping a lot of people.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right.
We're happy to come back.
Yes.
Oh.